you got stiff and painful knees every time you play basketball and it's just like destroying your confidence, in this video, I'm going to break down one thing you can start doing right now to start actually getting out of knee pain and addressing the situation, but then also understand the underlying reasons why commonly people are dealing with knee issues on the basketball court and how to actually address that thing. So before we get into that, link down below, I have a link for a free call with me where we can talk about your specific problems and issues and limitations. We'll dissect it, develop a game plan together and a path forward so you can actually start working on these things for yourself if you want to get into that. I also have a free guide linked below where it'll teach you all about how to get out of pain, build up your performance, your capacity, so that you can feel confident in your movement again and actually get back to doing the things that you want to do on the basketball court or elsewhere, whether it's the gym or just existing in life. So the first thing that you can do to actually get out of pain and start trending in the right direction is finding your entry point of loading that doesn't piss off the knee, but excuse me, actually gets things moving in the right direction. So we need quads and hamstrings a lot of times to get really, really strong. Typically, they're not really, really strong in basketball players, especially the quadriceps. So one of the ways you can start to actually work on this is get in a wall sit. Start with 2 legs. If that feels easy, walk your feet in, keep your heels down. If that feels easy, sit lower. If that feels easy, stagger your stance. One foot's going to be back, one foot's going to be forward, so it makes it a little more single leg dominant. And if that gets really easy, do the same thing with your stance and depth, then go 1 leg. It should feel like a big quad hit. It should feel like a minimal knee hit. And doing this over time and checking these boxes, you can be sure that you're increasing the capacity of your knees, of your quads, and reducing that stress on your knees. So that's number one. The other thing you can start to do here is identify your movement patterns. So a lot of people in basketball really love to load their hips, but they don't like to load their knees as much and get into those deep knees over toes positions. Whether they're weak there, they can't control it there, or they're in pain there, they typically avoid that pattern of movement. If you think about like getting into a deep crossover and change direction or landing from a jump. Now, typically people will say strengthen your hips. You got to load your hips to offload the stress on your knees. And although there's some truth to that, you still need to be able to get into positions that actually load your knees. Otherwise, you're just going to perpetuate this cycle. So if you're always training hips in the gym but avoiding knees, you're always going to be stuck here. So eliminate some of that, actually learn your entry point and start to implement that so we can load our knees a little bit more. Typically, strength coaches historically have said load your hips like in a squat. And so what it produces is a lot of people that have strong back squats, but they're always kind of hinging into their hips and not pushing their knees forward over their toes. And I'm not saying you need to start doing this right now, but what I am saying is you can have a really strong back squat, but your knees could still get pissed off when you're doing anything that you want in terms of that movement pattern that requires your knees to go over your toes, because you're just training the same habits over and over again. So we got to break those habits. That habits isn't really a word, but make sure that we're doing that. So if you're someone that always moves from your hips and can't play low, this is probably what we're talking about here. Piggybacking off of that and off of the first point of finding your entry point, having weak quads is a recipe for having knee pain at some point. You need your quads to be able to absorb high rates of force when you're landing or getting low or changing direction. So if we don't have the ability to absorb force and then produce it via the quadriceps predominantly, that is a recipe to potentially developing knee pain. And we don't want that. We just don't want that. So make sure that we're progressively getting stronger in quad dominant lifts that demand more movement out of the knees progressively over time, starting with your entry point and then building that out. If you enjoyed this video, if you found this helpful or interesting, or you just want to hear more about this in kind of an unedited, raw, open conversational format, feel free to hit the subscribe button down below or drop a comment so that I can make stuff that you want to hear about. Like I said before, maybe I didn't, I can't remember right now, honestly. Click the link below. You can get a free call with me. We'll have a conversation about your situation. I will direct you in the right direction with what you need to do to get out of pain and get back to playing the game that you love or just performing in the gym the way that you want to. And then I also have a free guide linked below that will dive into more detail about why it is that you're in pain, how to break the cycle, and how to identify the things that you need to work on so that you can actually do what you want to do. And that's all for now. I will talk to you later.